Treasures of the Heart. The sun over Egypt was not merely hot, it was ancient. It pressed down on the Valley of the Kings like a memory. The world had never finished forgetting. Jones adjusted his hat, studying the tomb hieroglyphs. His fingers moved gently, reverently. Archaeology, after all, wasn't about conquest. It was about listening. Lost papers, Jones muttered. You'd think parchment would have learned to survive better. Behind him, his assistant, Layla Hassan, rolled her eyes. Jones smiled faintly. Optimism is what keeps historians employed. They were chasing a rumor whispered through forgotten libraries. A set of papyrus scrolls. The papers supposedly described the location of a treasure so valuable that entire expeditions had vanished. Every version of the story insisted the treasure was not gold, not jewels, not artifacts. After hours of clearing sand, they uncovered a sealed stone door. Jones pressed his ear against it. Nothing, Layla said. Exactly, he replied. No echo. That means a hollow chamber behind it. Inside the chamber was small and bare. No statues. Only a stone pedestal. There, just papers. Jones approached slowly. She untied the thread. The scrolls were not maps. A royal scribe writing to his children, to his wife and his brother. He wrote about fear, love, mistakes, forgiveness, and hope. He wrote about kindness when power was easier, about leaving something behind that mattered more than wealth. Layla frowned. This can't be the treasure. Jones didn't answer. He kept reading. One line stood out. The greatest treasure is what the heart dares to protect when the world demands it be hardened. The papers led them to another location, an underground passage beneath an unmarked dune. At the end lay a stone chest. Layla opened it eagerly. It was empty. No gold, no relics, no jewels. Only a mirror polished into the lid's inner surface. Layla stared at her own dusty reflection. Is this some kind of joke? Jones held up the final scroll. It read, If you stand here seeking riches, you will leave with nothing. If you stand here seeking meaning, you will carry the treasure forever. Layla said quietly, The treasure was a message? Jones nodded. And a reminder. All my life, he said, I chased artifacts to prove history. But history already knew that. Layla smiled faintly. That the heart remembers better than stone. They left the tomb without anything to sell, but Jones carried the letters in his satchel, not as artifacts, as voices. Jones placed the translated letters into a simple folder labeled Treasures of the Heart, Egypt Expedition. No lock, no glass case, just a story meant to be read. Because some treasures were never meant to be owned, only understood. Jones stood beneath a stone archway, holding a letter that had arrived without a return address. Inside was a fragment of parchment, not Egyptian, Phoenician, and a single line written in careful ink. The heart you uncovered in the desert still beats beneath the sea. Jones exhaled slowly. Treasure hunters chased riches. Historians chased truths. He folded the letter and stepped into the rain. The trail led him to a submerged ruin off the Mediterranean coast. Columns lay broken beneath the water like fallen giants. Jones descended with Layla Hassan. Inside the ruin, they found stone shelves. Once a library, Most scrolls had dissolved long ago. Inside were journals written by sailors, scholars, prisoners, all writing the same theme: loss, hope, forgiveness, and love. Each writer claimed they had been guided by the heart papers of Egypt. They weren't just letters, it spread. They weren't alone. An old man waited in the chamber, seated on stone, breathing slowly. He explained that generations of guardians preserved these writings to protect reminders of compassion during times when cruelty ruled. Jones asked, "Why call explorers like us?" The man answered softly, "Because explorers still believe the world can be kinder." The final chamber contained no chest, only a burning oil lamp and a blank page. The guardian said, "Now you must write." Layla hesitated. "Write what?" "The treasure you carry." Jones wrote about fear of loss, about regret. Layla wrote about hope, belonging, and daring to care. When they finished, the blank page shimmered and sealed itself. Not magically, symbolically. The chamber began to flood. They ran and escaped. Back in Venice, Jones realized something. He no longer searched for treasure. Treasure searched for him. He placed a new folder in his satchel. Treasures of the Heart, Volume 2. And beneath it, he wrote, "Some discoveries don't ever end. They begin when you return to the world." The Himalayas did not welcome visitors. They endured them. Snow whipped against Jones's coat as he climbed a narrow path toward a monastery carved directly into black stone. Prayer flags snapped in the wind. He was older now, not weaker, just more aware of time. Layla walked beside him. "The journals from Venice mentioned this place," she said. "They called it the Listening Mountain." Jones smirked. "Mountains don't listen." Layla smiled faintly. "People do." Inside the monastery, no one asked who they were. The monks did not use names. One monk approached and handed Jones a wooden box. Inside was a simple compass. It did not point north. It pointed inward. "When the heart is lost," the monk said, "direction becomes illusion." Jones frowned. "We're not lost." The monk gently corrected him. "No, you're still searching." The compass led them to a hidden passage beneath the monastery, through tunnels where ancient travelers had been before. They reached a chamber filled with carvings from dozens of cultures: Egyptian, Mayan, Chinese. A traveler who chased treasure until he realized he was running from himself. Layla whispered, "It's you." At the center of the chamber stood only a single question carved into the wall. "What do you still carry that no treasure can replace?" Layla answered, "My mother's laugh." Jones swallowed. "My son's forgiveness." But something inside Jones did. He realized the greatest danger had never been snakes, traps, or bullets. It was becoming a man who only knew how to chase. The final door opened. The monks had never hidden a treasure. They had hidden a moment. A place where seekers finally stopped seeking. Layla smiled through tears. "So this is it?" Jones nodded. "Yes." He removed his hat and placed it on the stone floor. He taught, told tales, found what couldn't be buried. But now he listened more than he searched. On his desk were 3 folders: Treasures of the Heart, Volumes 1, 2, and 3. And beneath them, one final note: the greatest adventure is not discovering the world, but discovering why we love it. This trilogy, was never about treasure. It was about becoming human in a world obsessed with possession. And Jones didn't stop being an adventurer. He simply learned where the real journey was. The classroom was almost empty. Sunlight filtered through tall windows, dust floating in gentle spirals. Jones sat alone at his desk, older now, his hands resting on a stack of familiar folders. Treasures of the heart. He hadn't opened them in years, not because he had forgotten, because he finally understood. Layla stood in the doorway, older too, but with the same fire in her eyes. "You never told them everything," she said. Jones smiled softly. "Some things aren't lessons, they're invitations. I'm leaving tomorrow for South America." The journals mention a valley where explorers stopped writing. Jones raised an eyebrow. Stopped writing usually means something went wrong. Layla shook her head. "No, it means they started living." Jones laughed quietly. He handed her his hat. She hesitated. "I can't take that." "You already have," he said gently. "Every time you chose wonder over wealth." She accepted it with trembling hands. Then Jones reached into his drawer and removed a folded page. It was blank. "This is the last map," he said. Layla frowned. "There's nothing on it." "Exactly." She looked up. He continued. "Because the greatest journeys can't be drawn, they can only be chosen." They stood in silence. No dramatic farewell. No speeches. "Jones, did you ever find the treasure?" Jones smiled. "I found the reason I was looking." She nodded and walked into the sunlight. Jones remained seated, listening to her footsteps fade. Then he opened the first folder one last time and left the classroom door open behind him. Because some stories were never meant to end, only to be continued by new hearts.